talks on the Gita, Vinoba bhave, chapter 4, vikarna, the key to karma yoga. Karma needs vikarna to complement it. Brothers, in the last chapter, we discussed the yoga of desireless action. It is impossible to attain desirelessness if we give up swadharma and embrace the dharma, which is not ours. It is a trader's swadharma to sell indigenous goods, but when he gives it up and starts selling foreign goods imported from distant lands, his motive is nothing but to earn more profit. How can such work be free from desire? Pursuit of swadharma is therefore indispensable for desireless work. But swadharma could also be pursued with an eye on the gains. Take the case of non-violence. For a votary of non-violence, violence is taboo, but he could be one step steeped in violence within while being non-violent in outward appearance. For violence is an attribute of the mind. The mind would not be non-violent merely by giving up outward violence. A sword in hand is a sure sign of a violent mind, but one does not become non-violent merely by throwing the sword away. The same is true about swadharma also. To have desirelessness, one must definitely avoid the dharma which is not one's own, but that is only the first step towards desirelessness. That itself does not mean attainment of the goal. Desirelessness is a state of the mind. Pursuit of swadharma is necessary, but not sufficiently for acquiring that state. Other means but must also be used towards this end. To light a lamp, oil and wick are necessary, but not sufficient. It is also necessary to have a flame. Darkness disappears only when we light a flame. How to light a flame? For this, one must purify one's mind. The mind should be thoroughly cleansed through intense soul searching. The Lord has given this important advice at the end of the 3rd chapter. The 4th chapter has its genesis in this device. In this advice, the Gita uses the word karma, action in the sense of swadharma. We eat, drink, sleep. These are all actions, but they are not the actions. These are not the actions that the Gita refers to when it talks of karma. Karma refers to the performance of swadharma. But in order to attain desirelessness through such karma, an important aid is necessary. One must overcome desire, attachment, and anger. One cannot have desirelessness unless and until the mind has become pure and calm, like the water of the Ganga. The actions necessary for the purification of mind are called vikarna by the Gita. Karma, vikarna, and akarma. These 3 terms are important in the 4th chapter. Karma means the outward actions done in the pursuit of swadharma. Vikarna means total involvement of the mind therein. We may bow to somebody, but that outward action is meaningless without inner humility. There should be unity between the inner and the outer. I may worship the image of the Lord, but that act is worthless if it is not accompanied with devotion. In the absence of devotion, the image is just a piece of stone, and so am I, and the worship then means nothing. It is just the case of a stone facing another stone. Desireless, selfless karma yoga is attained only when outward actions are complemented with the inward action of the purification of mind. In the term desireless action, the adjective desireless is more important than the word action. just as in the phrase non-violent non-cooperation. The adjective non-violent is more important than the word non-cooperation. Non-cooperation without non-violence could be a terrible thing. In the same way, it could be dangerous if performance of swadharma is not complemented with vikarma of the mind. Those engaged in social service today are certainly pursuing their swadharma. When people are poor and destitute, it is a natural duty to serve them and make them happy. But all social workers cannot be called karma yogis. Social service without pure motive in the heart of the workers could have disastrous consequences. Such a social service can generate in equal measure the vanity, hatred, envy, and selfishness that we generate when we serve our families exclusively. This is clearly evident in the realm of social work today. Karma plus become is equal to akarma. The mind should be fully in tune with and involved in work. Become is the word that the Gita uses for this involvement and application of the mind in work. Vikarna means the special karma which varies with the needs of each individual mind. Many kinds of vikarma have been mentioned in the fourth chapter. They have been further elaborated from the sixth chapter onwards. Only when we perform this special karma, only when the mind is in tune with the outward action, will the flame of desirelessness be lighted. Desirelessness is gradually developed when karma and vikarma come together. The body and the mind are distinct entities, so the means to be employed for their growth are bound to be different. The goal is reached when they are in tune with each other to achieve harmony between them. The authors of the scriptures have prescribed a twofold path. In Bhakti Yoga, the yoga of devotion, they have prescribed penance and austerities without and japa within. If such japa does not accompany outer forms of penance like fasting, the latter would be in vain. One should never forget why one is doing penance. The motive, the spirit, should always be alive in the mind like a burning flame. The word upavas, upavas, fasting, etymologically means to dwell close to God. In order that our mind and heart may dwell close to God, sensual pleasures are to be observed, but if we give up such pleasures and do not think of God, of what value is the physical act of fasting? If instead of thinking of God, we think of things to eat and drink while fasting, that fast would be worse than a feast. In fact, there is nothing more dangerous than thinking about sensual pleasures. Tantra, technique, must be accompanied by mantra, spirit. Tantra in itself is not important, and mantra without action too has no value. True service can be rendered only when the hands are engaged in service and there is a spirit of service in the heart. Performance of swadharma will be a dreary affair without the warmth of feeling in the heart. It would not then blossom forth and bear the fruit of desirelessness. Suppose we undertake the work of nursing the sick. If there is no compassion in the heart, it would be a burdensome drudgery for us. To the patient, do it. To it will be a burdensome obligation. If the mind is not absorbed in service, it will boost the ego. Expectations will then arise in the mind. I am helping him today. Tomorrow he should help me. He should praise me. People should admire me. Or else we may get fed up and complain that the patient is peevish and irritable, even though we are taking so much care of him. Sick men are usually in a depressed and irritable mood. Without the spirit of service, we would get tired of nursing them. If the mind is in tune with the work is transformed into something unique. When vikarma joins karma, Desirelessness comes into being. When a spark touches the gunpowder, it explodes. Karma is like the gunpowder. It works wonders when the flame of vikarma ignites it. Karma is itself in itself is inert and lifeless. It is the spark of vikarma that makes it indescribably powerful. We may keep a packet of gunpowder in our pocket or handle it with impunity, but if ignited, it would blow up the body into pieces. The infinite power in swadharma is likewise dormant. Combine it with vikarma and then see what transformation it can bring about. The resultant explosion would reduce to ashes ego, desires, passions, and anger, and then supreme wisdom will be attained. Action is that which can kindle the fire of knowledge. When you ignite a log of wood, it turns into embers. How different are they from the log, but it is, after all, the log which has undergone this transformation. When vikarma is united with karma, karma attains a divine radiance, a mother's action of caressing her child's apparently insignificant. But who can describe the upsurge of emotions it gives rise to in the hearts of both the mother and the child? It would be utterly nonsensical if one were to say that such emotions would result if a hand of such weight and such softness is moved up and down such a back. Yes, the action is insignificant, but the mother has put her whole heart into it. And it is this vikarma that gives unparalleled comfort and joy. There is an incident described in the Ramayana written by Saint Tulsidas. The Vanas had come wounded and bleeding after a battle with the demons. Banvas, the Banvas had come wounded and bleeding after a battle with the demons. They were in great pain. Lord Rama just looked at them with love, and all their pain vanished. It would be ridiculous if someone else were to try to bring about such a result by looking at them in an outwardly similar way. When vikarma is combined with karma, there is a powerful explosion of energy, resulting in akarma, a big log of wood. When burnt, turns into just a handful of harmless ash. In the same way, karma ignited by vikarma results in akarma. Is there any relation between the properties of wood and that of the ash? Absolutely nothing. You can collect the ash in your hands and merely smell it all over your body without harm. But there is no doubt that the ash has come out of the burning of that log of wood. When vikarma is united with karma, akarma results. What does it mean? It means that one does not then have the feeling of having done anything. Action does not weigh on the mind of the actor. We act, but still we are not the doers. As the Gita says, you are not the slayer even if you slay somebody. A mother may give a thrashing to her child, but the child will still turn to her for solace. He would not do so if you were to thrash him. It is so because the mother's heart is pure. Her action is totally devoid of any self interest. Vikarma or the purity of mind erases the actionness of the action, infused with the inner vikarma. Rama's action of looking at the Banvas became a sheer outpouring of healing love, and it did not tire Ram a bit. Action performed with pure heart is free from any attachment. There is therefore no question of any sin nor merit remaining as a residue after that action is over. Otherwise, an action puts great burden and pressure on the mind and the heart. Suppose the news breaks out now that all the political prisoners are going to be released tomorrow. Imagine the resultant commotion. We are always agitated and strained with anxiety by the actions, good or bad. Action engulfs us from all sides. It catches us by the scruff of our neck, just as the sea waves. dash against the stone and make channels into it. The forceful waves of karma into the enters the mind and agitate it. Dualities of pleasure and pain are created. Peace of mind is lost. Even after the action is over, its momentum remains. It takes hold of the mind and makes it restless. But if karma is coupled with vikarna, any movement, any amount of action does not tire. The mind remains calm, peaceful and radiant. When vikarma is poured into karma, it results in akarma. It is as if karma gets erased after it is over. Art of akarma should be learned from the sense. How does karma become akarma? From whom can we learn this art? From the saints, of course. The Lord says at the end of this chapter, go to the saints and learn from them. Language fails in describing how karma is transformed into a karma. To gain an understanding of this, one has to sit at the feet of the saints. The Lord is described as Santakara Bhujangi Sayanam. He is fully at peace even though he is lying on the sesam, the thousand-headed cobra. The saints too do hundreds of actions, but do not allow even a little ripple of commotion to arise in the still water of their minds. This remarkable thing can never be understood unless the lives of saints are observed at close quarters. Nowadays, books have become quite cheap. There is no dearth of teachers. Education is widespread and cheap. Universities are literally doling out knowledge, but nobody seems to have assimilated it. In fact, the more one looks at the heaps of the books, the more one realizes how necessary it is to at the feet, sit at the feet of the saints. The knowledge encased within the thick covers of the books does not step out of those covers. I am always reminded of an Abhang devotional poem. In this context, Kam Kod Aar Pare Parvat, Rahila Anant Palikade. The high mountains of desires, passion, and anger bar the way to the Lord. Similarly, the way to knowledge is barred by the heaps of the books. Although libraries are everywhere, man still seems to be an ape, ignorant and uncouth. There is a big library at Baroda. Once a gentleman was carrying a thick volume with a lot of pictures, thinking it is to be an English book. When I browsed through it, I found it to be a French book. The gentleman must have thought that as the book was in the Roman script, had nice pictures and good binding, so it must be full of knowledge. Every year, tens of thousands of books are published in English. This is so in other languages too. With such a spread of knowledge, how is it that man behaves so stupidly? Some say that the power of memory has weakened. Some say that concentration is becoming difficult. Some say that whatever a man reads appears true to him. Some say that there is no time left for thinking. The Lord says to Arjuna, Yoga will far away so long as your intellect, confused by listening to different things, remains unsteady. So stop reading books and listening to others and surrender yourself to the sands. There you would read the book of life. Your doubts will get dissolved by the silent, wordless sermons there. You would know how to remain perfectly serene even by constantly performing acts of service. How the heart could be tuned to produce music without break, even as the storm of action rages outside. Thank you very much for listening. Have a nice day.